Milwaukee versus DeWalt in half-inch compact impact wrenches. Which one reigns supreme? We'll find out in a moment. I'm Tim Johnson. You're watching Shop Tool Reviews. Ever since we got the brand new DeWalt Atomic DCF921 impact wrench in the shop, it took exactly 3 seconds on social media for someone to say, how does it stack up against the 2855, the M18 FUEL half-inch compact impact wrench from Milwaukee? Well, we're about to find out. We're going to look feature by feature. We're going to look at size, weight, and then, we're going to put it on the test rig and see how they stack up. So let's get started. Hey, if you haven't taken a look at our brand new Christmas gift guide, be sure to do so. We've got awesome gifts on there from $8 all the way up to as much as you want to spend. A ton of gifts, great ideas for you as well. Check it out. All right, here we go. We have the Milwaukee 2855 M18 FUEL compact impact wrench, and we have the DeWalt DCF921 Atomic 20-volt compact impact wrench. Now, obviously, the 20 volt is more power because it has 2 more volts. Actually, no, if you know anything about tool batteries, 20 volt is just pretty much marketing slang. So you'll notice it always says 20 volt max when DeWalt is talking about it. If you take an 18 volt battery and you charge it all the way up, pull it off the charger and measure it, it's going to measure a little over 20 volts. That's where they get the 20 volt max. Pull the trigger a few times and measure it, and nominal volts is going to be 18. So these 2 battery packs are both 5 amp hour packs. They're pretty much identical per se, except obviously DeWalt's going to do their thing, Milwaukee's going to do their thing. But as far as number of cells, everything else, pretty much identical. Both are using 18650 cells. Not going to dive into battery technology, but anyway, we're going to use the 5 amp hour packs on both because you can buy both of these. You can't buy the DeWalt as a kit, but you can get it bundled with a 5 amp hour battery, and you can buy the Milwaukee as a bare tool or a kit with 2 5 amp hour batteries and a charger. Anyway, so we're going to stick with the 5 amp hour batteries on both of these. Now, size-wise, you can see that looking at these two, pretty much identical. Now, right off the bat, you can see that the DeWalt has a little bit more of a rake in the head. I call that a rake, a little bit more slant in the head. The DeWalt is, the Milwaukee is pretty much dead level. The DeWalt's got that little bit of rake, a little bit of ramp in the head there, so a little bit of difference. Tire changers, things like that, like to see that rake because it kind of gets the tool out of the way. Anyway, just kind of explaining that. Now, Milwaukee does put a little bit of rake in the handle, and you can see that a little more slant in the handle. DeWalt's got a little bit too, but again, just kind of 2 different ways of going about that, but I did want to mention it. So size-wise, the Milwaukee with the 5 amp hour battery, about 9.5, 9 5/8 of an inch, and the DeWalt is closer to 10 inches. So with that rake in the head, it's putting it, quarter inch or so taller than the Milwaukee, but otherwise pretty much identical. Looking at the back of these things, again, they're looking very similar. I think when DeWalt decided to make this, I think they may have looked at their competitors just a little bit. You think? When we look at the width of these, let's see, 2.4, and if you go to the rubber here, maybe 2.5. So, but pretty much 2.5 inches on both of these tools across the width of them. 2.5. So these are pretty much identical size-wise, if you will. And we'll take a look at, we'll go from the base of the anvil is 4.1 inches for the Milwaukee, and just a touch more, 4.2 inches for the DeWalt. Obviously, we could add in the anvil as well if we wanted to go there. 4.97 inches there. And the Milwaukee's going to be just a touch shorter. So you can see a little bit of gap there. So rather than 4.96, we're going to be at 4.90. So just a touch smaller on the Milwaukee from front to back. We'll get a measurement with these with battery and without. So the DeWalt with the 5 amp hour battery, 3 pounds 14 ounces. So 314, 3 pounds 15 and a half ounces. So 1.5 ounces heavier on the Milwaukee. let's pull the batteries off and we'll see if it's in the tool or in the battery. So the DeWalt, 2 pounds 8 ounces. Milwaukee, 2 pounds 6 ounces. So 2 ounces lighter than the DeWalt. So that means the DeWalt battery, 1 pound 6 ounces, and the Milwaukee battery, 1 pound 9.5 ounces. So heavier battery on the Milwaukee, lighter tool, and vice versa on the DeWalt. Now let's talk about features. So both of these have 4 modes, although the DeWalt's a little bit different. So you can see here on the Milwaukee, if we kind of take a look close in here, it's always hard to see the control panel on these. We have 1, 2, 3, and then the little bolt with a circle around it. So basically bolt removal mode. Then on the DeWalt, we have a bolt and then a screw and then a 1 and a 2. So basically your 1 and 2 are just going to be power modes. So obviously one's going to release a little or deliver a little less power than one is, maybe half, what have you. Anyway, 2 power modes. And then you have bolt mode or precision bolt mode, and then screw mode. So that's going to be your construction fasteners, things like that. And we'll show you the precision bolt mode. Basically, it will impact a certain amount and then stop, and then actually it'll hesitate and then start again. So if you're not wanting to over tighten something, you can go that route. And then when you're backing something off in precision bolt mode, then it's going to back it off with full power and then actually slow it down so you're not slinging lug nuts across the shop. Now with the Milwaukee, you get 3 power modes that are kind of progressively stronger. In fact, you can actually hear it in the tool. So that's wide open in 1, that's 2, and that's 3. And then we have bolt removal mode, which is a little bit slower. And with the Milwaukee, what it's going to do, it's going to tighten up to like 20 foot-pounds, so barely tight at all, and then stop the tool. Backing it off, as soon as it backs off and it's freed up, it's going to slow that socket down or slow that fastener down. So the same reason you're not going to be slinging lug nuts across the shop or whatever you're backing off. So we have bolt removal mode or precision bolt mode on both of these. They act a little bit different. We'll show that. Both of them have tri-LEDs around the face or around the anvil. We love to see that because that actually broadcasts that light around the fastener exactly where you're pointing it. You're not having to rely on something shining up from the base here. So we really like to see that triple LED around the snout of both these guys. We get hog ring style 1/2-inch anvils on these as well. So no spring detents on here, no pin detents, just have the hog ring style. It's going to hold that socket on nice and firm and be easy to kind of pull those on and off. On the DeWalt, we get 2,500 max RPM and 3,550 impacts per minute. On the Milwaukee, a max of 2,400 RPM, so 100 less than the DeWalt, and impacts per minute is 3,500, so just 50 short of the DeWalt. So a little less RPM and a little less impacts per minute on the Milwaukee Compact versus the DCF921. Let's take these over to the test rig and see how they do. Now, if we just look at the specs on these, the Milwaukee is only rated at 250 foot-pounds of breakaway torque, and the DeWalt is rated at 450 foot-pounds of breakaway torque. So, obviously, the DeWalt would be stronger. So, is that what we're going to see? Well, we will actually find out. But let's remember, these are both compact impact wrenches, the Atomic DCF921 and the Milwaukee 2855 M18 FUEL. So let's go ahead and get started. Now we're going to use our torque gun and we're going to torque these down starting at 250 foot-pounds. So we're going to go 250, 300, 350, 400, 450. Now sometimes when we compare these, we go, torque 2 of them the same and go side by side. I'm not going to do that because what I want to do is I want to make sure that both tools are running this one off at 250 and both of them are running this one off at 300, and so that there's not somebody saying, oh well, this fastener was harder than this one, blah 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 blah. So we're going to run through with the DeWalt and then we're going to run through with the Milwaukee. So we'll see how far the DeWalt gets, then we'll come back and we'll test the Milwaukee. So we're going to start this at 150 foot-pounds. I may have said 250 a minute ago, so we're going to start at 150 and then we're going to go all the way up to as far as it will carry us. we're confident that we'll probably get in that 400 foot-pound range, but let's just go ahead and get started. Okay, so we have the nuts torqued. Again, we're started at 150 and going all the way up to 450. Let's get started with the DeWalt. We have a full 5 amp hour battery. We'll make sure we're in mode 2, which is our strongest mode, and we're in reverse. So let's go ahead and get started. 150 foot-pounds. Okay, so we went all the way up to 450 foot-pounds with the DeWalt. Now, on that last nut, the last two were really close to 10 seconds. We let these hit for 10 seconds, and then we'll stop. However, if the socket, if the nut is actually moving after 10 seconds, we will let it keep going. That was the case on this one. Right at the last, at the 9th or 10th second, we started seeing that index mark just barely move, and sure enough, it went ahead and broke that free. So we're going to give it 450. In fact, we knew this wrench. We've already reviewed this impact wrench, and we knew that's exactly where it will go to over and over and over. We've done that. That's kind of the max. It really won't hit 500, but it does do 450, and we've just seen it again. So full 450 foot-pounds from the DCF921. Let's go to the M18. So we got the Milwaukee M18 2855 half-inch compact impact wrench. We'll make sure that we're in mode 3. So that's our strongest mode there. So we're in mode 3 and we're in reverse. So let's get started. Well, let's go ahead and retorque our bolts. Okay, we've got them retorqued. Again, we got in power mode 3, full 5 amp hour battery. We are in reverse. Let's get started at 150. Okay, so that was the max for what they rated this at, 250 foot-pounds. So now we're at 300. So again, just like with the DeWalt, this was definitely moving at 10 seconds, so we would let it. So just like the DeWalt, the Milwaukee was moving after 10 seconds or at the 10-second mark, so we let it go ahead and finish, and we'll give it that one. Actually, it was moving at probably 6 or 7 second range, but it did take longer than 10 seconds to fully break that free. So now we're on to 400 foot-pounds for the M18 Compact. So again, it was definitely moving before 10 seconds was up. So we've got 400. Now let's move on to 450 foot-pounds. Now this is where it may get dicey. and really having to decide whether the DCF 921 or the 2855 Milwaukee is stronger. So here we go, 450 foot-pounds. Okay, got to be honest, I did not see that move. It may have moved just a touch, but at 10 seconds, I really couldn't tell a legible move, so I'm going to call it at that. So we're going to give the DCF 921 that 450 foot-pounds, but the M18 400 foot-pounds. Now the bottom line is both of these compact impact wrenches are going well beyond the Call of Duty what somebody should be pushing these compacts through. Regardless, you still saw the difference. The DCF 921 a little bit squeaking out a little bit stronger than the older M18 2855. Now let's look at precision bolt mode really quick here. So I'm going to go to my precision bolt mode for the Milwaukee and watch this. So I'm just going to hold my finger on the trigger. Finger is still on the trigger. So it tightens it up barely and then stops the tool. Now if I back that off, full power coming off, and then slows it way down. We'll go back on and back off. See, it slows that tool way down when it's coming off. It doesn't stop it, but it slows it way down. Now with the DeWalt, going back on, now with the DeWalt, if I go into precision bolt mode and tighten, you see it actually just kind of stops for a split second. So I'll do this again, keep my finger on the trigger. So if I keep my finger on the trigger, it'll start up again. So it tightens it just a bit, stops for a second or two, and then starts hammering full strength again. So you got to let your finger off the trigger. You can't leave your finger on there or it will continue to tighten. Now coming off, same thing as the Milwaukee, hits hard, backs it off, and then it slows it down, but it does not stop it by any means. So there's your precision bolt mode. So were we surprised? Yes and no. We actually already reviewed the 921 and we reviewed the 2855 a long time ago, so we knew where these were going to end up already. However, we're very surprised at the amount of power that these little impacts are putting out, regardless of which one you choose. I know you're wanting to see a winner. Actually, we saw the DCF 921 eked out, 450 foot-pounds, barely doing it. And again, we've tested over and over and over. It can never do 500, so we're calling it 450. Could we have done 460 and 470? Yes, we could have done that, but we go by the 50-pound increments, so be it at that. So be mad at us if you want to, regardless. So the DCF 921 squeaked out 450 foot-pounds. The M18 squeaked out 400 foot-pounds, so a little bit short. However, the M18 is rated at only 250 foot-pounds and went well beyond it. The DCF 921 is rated at 450 foot-pounds, so we think it did exactly what they claim it'll do. Again, both of them did very well on how much power they're putting out for the size tool they are. These are great handy tools. Now, I'll be honest with you because I get these questions all the time, even when we're testing an impact driver and they see, oh, it'll do 400 foot-pounds, so it'll change the tires on my car, right? I still do not recommend buying these for changing lug nuts or changing wheels and tires on cars and trucks. Can it do it? Yes. If your wheels are torqued to spec and they haven't been over-torqued or they hadn't been riding through the snow for a complete season or the rain, then yes, these will probably do absolutely fine taking those lug nuts off. But it only takes one or two of those that's got some corrosion on it, or it's been to the tire shop and they put their air ugga-dugga wrench on there and, like most of them do, just held the trigger down until it wouldn't go anymore. These aren't going to do it. So when you're changing wheels and tires, I recommend at least a mid-torque impact wrench. But can these put out the power necessary to put on wheels and tires? If they're to spec, absolutely. But again, I'm giving that caveat that if you're doing wheels and tires, this is not the wrench. These compacts just aren't made for that. But as far as everything in between, I would much rather carry around this little compact impact wrench rather than their big high torque counterparts. So kudos to DeWalt and Milwaukee on these great compact impact wrenches. Again, we've reviewed both of these fully on their own. They keep coming out right at the same number, so very impressed by these. Make sure you check them out. Again, it's the DeWalt DCF921 and the Milwaukee 2855. Wow, I actually forgot to talk about pricing. So let's talk about pricing. Well, the DeWalt cost $199 and the Milwaukee cost $199. That's it. No, let's dig a little deeper. Yes, that's correct. Bare tools, they're both $199. Imagine that. Milwaukee, you get a 5-year warranty. DeWalt, you get a 3-year warranty. Now, if we actually kind of boil that down to brass tacks, if you will, right now it's Christmas season. It's like December 2nd, I think. And right now you can get this DeWalt. You can't get it in a kit yet, but you can get it bundled with a 5 amp hour battery. So no charger, 5 amp hour battery, and the tool for $199. I know that makes no sense. I can buy the bare tool for $199, or I can buy it with a 5 amp hour battery for $199. That is a deal. We don't see it in a kit yet where we can get charger and a battery, and I'm sure that deal's probably going to go away, I would say sometime around Christmas. The Milwaukee, on the other hand, $199 bare tool, and if you want the kit with 2 5 amp hour batteries and the charger, I believe that's $379. We'll have a link to both of these in the description, and we'll make sure that we include that bundled one as well. But again, we think we'll see that sale go away, so where that'll end up, I'm not sure. Bare tool-wise, they're identical, but kit or bundle-wise, it looks like you can probably get a little better deal right now on the DeWalt. It is a brand new tool, and it is Christmas season. Hey, be sure to keep track of us on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. If you don't mind, would you hit that like and subscribe button if you haven't done so already? And by all means, you hate our video, give us a thumbs down, but would you let us know in the comments why? Have a great day, and keep smiling.